I just want to introduce Professor Yasha Klots. He's an associate professor at both Hunter College and here at the Graduate Center, and he's also the founder of the Tamizdat Project.
Dear colleagues, students, friends, people who are here for the first time and people who have been here for a few times, welcome to the CUNY Graduate Center, where we have gathered for 2 days to talk about banned books from the Cold War to the present, the title of our conference. Let me start by first of all thanking Sarah Danielsson of the CUNY Academy just for making all this possible, for bringing us here into this beautiful space, the gem of the City University of New York. Sarah has spent months helping me in every possible way. And by way of confession, the idea of the conference and its topic is also Sarah's. Initially, we, of course, thought of expanding it and talking about banned books in a much more global world literature context. But then, it's my fault, I admit. We basically, yes, narrowed it down to Eastern Europe. And this is going to be, of course, our main focus, which doesn't preclude us from branching out into all sorts of other geopolitical contexts that are, as Sarah said, couldn't be more timely, of course, today. So the conference is co-hosted by Tamizdat Project that many of you have heard of already. It's a public scholarship initiative for the study of banned books from the former Soviet Union and Eastern Europe. Let me thank all the project participants, volunteers, interns, students, the general public, some of whom are today among our conference presenters and tomorrow. Thank you all for your precious contributions and, of course, for the enthusiasm that is really, really helping. Please, on this note, help yourselves to a set variety of Tamizdat Project brochures and postcards designed beautifully by our graphic designer and scholar Diana Gor. Diana, thank you so much. There are brown bags of Tamizdat Project gifts for the conference participants. So let me also, of course, thank everyone who have come today and those who will still come tomorrow, and those who have been supporting the project, following us, coming to our year-round events, mostly at Hunter College. And finally, I just couldn't be more grateful to all the participants of this two-day intellectual marathon. Thank you so much for finding the time to share your precious work and being here today and tomorrow at CUNY. So the conference title, Banned Books from the Cold War to the Present, straightforward as it may sound, is of course somewhat evocative, if only elliptical. If the present is read as an adjective, it extends to the present war, and not just in the singular, but in the plural. This is implying that what we will be discussing here today for 2 days are banned books, not only, of course, from the Cold War era, but also those written, produced, and published, and some still unpublished, of course, during the present war. Extending the title to the noun that is supposed to be there but isn't, if present is an adjective. So of Russian war against Ukraine, of Putin's and Lukashenko's wars against the freedom of speech in Russia and Belarus, and so on. Of course, the context of the most recent developments for us being here on the CUNY, it's not a campus, but at CUNY, is also somewhat informs inevitably what we will be touching upon. And our first talk today by Polina will take us back to the World War II context and spotlight yet another book that could only be published 70 or so years after that war finished. For this reason also, much as we wish no such intellectual or no such publishing effort was ever necessary, our conference aims to draw lessons from the past by really focusing on their resonance in the present. I should say here that our somewhat limited geopolitical context to Eastern Europe and to the late Soviet century in no way should kind of serve as a confine of sorts. We are witnessing certainly book banning even in the United States, and thanks to PEN America, who an organization that keeps an eye on this disturbing and alarming process. It is something that we have also tried to plug into the conference with Polina Sadovskaya from PEN America. So regrettably, to narrow once again our focus on Eastern Europe, a space where literary and cultural institutions that our conference will be covering, I hope it serves the purpose to be tracing their interactions of these different literary traditions where they intersect and of course depart from each other and have been doing so for decades. So let me also throw in just a few technical announcements. So first is that the conference, including all Q&A and discussions, is being recorded. Thank you, Tatiana, for making it possible as well. This will be invaluable for the audience who cannot attend in person, but would thus be able to watch and be part of this event remotely after the conference finishes. So during the Q&A, if I may ask you to please wait for the microphone to be passed on to you before asking the question. And of course, let us know if this is in any way a problem. I mean, we don't want to preclude any questions just for that reason, right? So it's completely fine. Second is that our program is, especially tomorrow, is quite dense. So each presenter will have no more than 15 minutes, leaving enough time, as I hope, for discussions after each panel. And I thank in advance every chair and moderator for keeping our conference up to the schedule. So yes, as Sarah said, we will be having lunch here in the same room. Later on, please help yourselves. And tomorrow night, the conference will culminate with a screening of Anna Narinskaya's film, Rock, Paper, Scissors, a film about artists, the legendary artist publishers, with Elendea Profer-Teasley as our special guest, but also as the protagonist of this film, as the co-founder of Ardis back in 1971. The screening will take place in the same building, but it will be at a different venue. It's on the first floor, on your right as you exit the elevators, or on your left as you enter the building. And finally, we do have one more kind of last-minute surprise addition to our already rich program for tomorrow. This will be a conversation moderated by my colleague Polina Sadovskaya from PEN America, with two more participants, Ivan Sokolov and Monica de la Torre. This event will be, it's not in the program, we literally added it 2 days ago, but it will be part of the poetry and translation reading starting at 4 p.m. And for this reason, we extended the main part of the conference tomorrow, not until 6 by half an hour, to have enough time. The conversation, I forgot to say, of course, will address questions of distance and proximity between American and Russophone poetry and through translation. It is a project that Polina has been working on for a couple of years, and our conference just seemed like an appropriate and actually good venue for this. So I hope it only makes it more interesting. On this note, let me thank everybody once again. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to see so early, so many people already so early in the day. And let me give the floor to Polina, who will say a few words on behalf of PEN America. And looking forward to our conversations and brainstorming for the next 2 days. Thanks so much again. Thank you.
Thank you, Yasha, for giving me this opportunity to kick off this conference together with you. And thanks to Tamizdat, to CUNY Graduate Center, and all of the speakers for focusing on the issue of book banning. Books are mirrors that help us reflect on ourselves, as well as windows and doors that introduce different worlds and experiences. They are vehicles for empathy that can deepen understanding and bring people closer to one another, miraculously across time and space. When authorities ban books, they attempt to stifle dissent and suppress inconvenient truths. And I believe that while ideas can never truly be banned, book bans have international and intergenerational impacts. I'm grateful that today we're taking the time to understand these impacts in Eastern Europe as book bans rapidly escalate in the United States and around the world. Since 2021, PEN America has tracked instances of banned books in US public schools. Our latest report, Banned in the USA, Narrating the Crisis, tracks how ideologically driven groups are using book bans to disrupt public education nationwide. In this most recent school semester, we recorded 4,349 instances of book bans, and just to give you a perspective, it is more than the whole last year. Here in the United States, coordinated groups and politicians are restricting young people's right to read and learn. They exert their influence on school boards and state legislatures to censor and ban diverse literature in the classroom. When we look at which books are most frequently banned, a pattern emerges. PEN America's most recent research shows that banned books often include topics of sexual violence, LGBTQ narratives, and race-related themes. Such books as Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, or Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. Or in Utah, Bible was recently banned as well. Books give room to explore otherwise uncomfortable topics, topics that censors would rather ban outright than explore. When authorities ban books, they deprive readers of engaging with the world around them in all its complex realities. They restrict authors' freedom to write too. We're also seeing how book bans are coupled with intimidation and smear campaigns against writers, librarians, teachers. As states across the country institute vaguely written book banning laws with severe punishments, some librarians and teachers have stopped stocking certain books or self-censor in lesson plans because they fear losing their jobs, or even worse, spending time in prison. Many librarians have reported leaving the profession or fleeing their state altogether as a result. Unfortunately, many governments and politicians around the world are banning books too. The World Book Bans, we joined PEN International in condemning the rise of book bans worldwide, including in Russia, Hungary, Belarus, and Turkey. What concerns me even more is that many of the themes we see in the US are popping up around the world. Books that include representation of LGBTQ people and narratives, as well as books about racial and ethnic minorities, are targeted. I'm hopeful that conferences like this can encourage writers, readers, librarians, and other stewards of books to come together strongly against book banning. In the US, I have been inspired by the resistance of students who create banned books clubs and set up little libraries, for example, as well as lawmakers in Florida, an epicenter of this movement, making lasting changes to policy that protects freedom of expression and the right to read. With books, writers and readers can imagine solutions to problems that seemed impossible to resolve, or discuss uncomfortable topics that are difficult to even speak about out loud. With book bans, these ideas and uncomfortable truths will only be suppressed. Thank you all again for being here, and I will leave you with a quote. In his book, I Will Never See the World Again, formerly imprisoned Turkish writer Ahmet Altan wrote, "You can imprison me, but you cannot keep me here, because like all writers, I have magic." Thank you.